Here we go. Good evening. This is Rob Bell, and you're watching Getting the Record Straight. It's Tuesday evening, the 21st of April. This is Getting the Record Straight and the Truth to Power edition. If you're watching, please subscribe. Need you to chime in and press that button or um, make sure that you subscribe. We're trying to get our numbers up, but things are moving along pretty good. And I'd like to thank everybody who's been helping out and finding an interest in what we're trying to do in terms of providing some information that's not mainstream and some things we think are really important in this day and time. Hope you're staying safe and keeping a safe distance, wearing your gloves and masks when you have to. Today, I have a guest on, a very good friend of mine. I mean, we go back a ways and have done so many things together. He's been such a great influence in my life and certainly in my career in terms of activism and writing and really dreaming, trying to fulfill some of the things I've wanted to do over the years. And Terry Johnson's been a big influence and a big help. Terry's a longtime political activist. He's been an auto assembly line worker, a community newspaper editor in Lansing, Michigan, which is his hometown. And when he moved to Philly, he became a reporter for the Philadelphia Inquirer as well as a writer for Newsweek magazine. And then became senior editor at the Village Voice, which is one of the iconic magazines out of New York. His proudest accomplishment was serving as publisher of The Real News, a radical literary journal featuring a collective of writers, artists, and activists here in Philly. And I'm proud to say that, got my beginnings in writing in the Philly Real News, and just really was something that got me started and got me over, gave me the confidence to do some of the things that I did later. So without further ado, I want to introduce to the audience Terry Johnson. Terry, good evening. How you doing?
Good evening, man. How you doing during these crazy times that we're in? Man, it's like blows my mind. Every time I wake up in the morning, I think I'm gonna be in a different universe, but I still find I'm stuck.
You're stuck here. Well, is it?
Black hole.
Well, is it just the virus thing, or is it more than that? Is it beyond that? Is it
well, I think the virus thing is part of the whole political and economic situation on this planet. I mean, I interpret this virus as a result of humans' assault on the environment. And now this is what we reap as a result. And plus, this man, everything in this universe is a living thing, and everything is going to fight for its right to survive. So that human beings become the target of something in this universe, all that surprising, not really. You know what I'm saying?
Well, especially since nature has been assaulted so violently, particularly over the last century. And, the fact that we have some blowback doesn't surprise me at all. It's not like we have it's not like we're very open about what we're doing scientifically. So much of what goes on, particularly in this country, in terms of science and the weather and nature, is done via the military complex, and that is often a matter of weaponizing science and weaponizing things relative to nature and the environment. And so we don't even know I don't think half of what's going on in terms of biological weapons testing, and I've even read some stuff about in fact, I posted something on Facebook, Terry, about weather, being able to control and utilize the weather as a military tool or weapon. So we don't even know half of what's going on, I don't think.
Right. That's true.
That's
my wife's school of thought on that one.
Right. Yeah, so you've been around, man, and often share with me so many stories and anecdotes about your life, not only in terms of journalism, but in terms of politics and activism. So why don't you share with us a bit of that, particularly, in the context of the state of black politics. I know you were very involved on a community level back in Michigan. I guess it was Lansing, and as well as in college. So, share with us some of your insights, if you will, relative to your experience back in the day, as it relates to political activism.
You know what? I, along with many others, have always been predicting the collapse of capitalism and Western civilization and its racist covering. And every time I predict it, it seems to escape. It goes on to live another century or so, or half century. So it's really, really hard to predict, but I am still very optimistic that black people and people of color will ultimately win this battle. And I describe it as a battle to give birth to a new humanity. And by that, I mean, a human consciousness where people literally and honestly believe in treating your neighbor as you treat yourself, and that's a tremendous battle. And it's a battle, of course, that has legendary fighters, down through the centuries have been trying to, give voice to this new humanity. And sometimes, I was talking to a friend the other day about a project we're working on, and I was telling him that, it's often easy to dissect a decaying empire, the crimes that it commits and, the awful things that it does. But I think during this period, it's just as important for us to begin to describe the new society, the new civilization that is coming into being. Because I think this is where people get their vision from. And finding this new vision is a revolutionary act.
Well, you are an optimist. I must say that.
Absolutely.
But for me, I'm just wondering. I talked to you earlier, and actually wrote something to you, concerned about this idea. There was a time, certainly when I was in college in the mid '70s, and before that, and a little bit after, where the leadership that we had on a national level that was revered globally, Malcolm, Martin, and many others, and organizations and institutions that were revered like that. And there was a thought, I believed, that the African American struggle, its leadership, its academic leadership and following, was the vanguard of something national or international in terms of revolutionary resistance. And I'm a little less optimistic about that now. I just don't feel it's there. I mean, I still think, and I agree with you, that there's a struggle, that there's a new humanity possible. I just don't think that the epicenter is going to be here in the United
Well,
States.
well, first of all, let me say this: be patient, young man. Be patient.
I ain't so young anymore, man.
Yeah, because
Nothing but gray up in here.
Sometimes the future appears as this like historic phenomena, on the stage of history. Appears for a great moment, and then it could just as quickly disappear. But then maybe 20 years later, 50 years later, it comes and makes another appearance. And if not the main character, a very important character in this human drama. So that's what I believe. Black folks have appeared on a historic stage, and we've influenced a lot of historic developments. Mm-hmm. We played a critical role in the shaping of the anti-colonial struggles around the world. Mm-hmm. Black people have done that. Mm-hmm. We've been important figures in the anti-war movements, the struggle for women's rights. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And even if we were pushed off the stage right now, I still suspect that our historic experience will bring us back to center stage. But and on the other hand, too, who cares if it is? I mean, I would like to say Black people will be the vanguard, but who cares if we don't? The main question is this: will this humanity be born? This new humanity, and if the new humanity is being born, then everything will be all right. That's how I look at it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it's well thought out and well put. Yeah, I like I said, I just wonder. I'm very nervous about that, anxious about how much of that will be centered and emanate from the United States, and because like you kind of alluded to, so much is going on where it just seems like the United States is constantly on the wrong side and constantly, inciting some kind of madness and evil, and it just seems like there never was a time where the media had rolled over to the degree that they have. Obviously the mainstream media, mainstream cable news. It's just in the pocket of the right wing and the military complex, and that doesn't augur well for a peaceful future and a humane future. But we will see. And on that note, I'm going to sign off. Terry, I really appreciate you joining in for a while. There's a couple other things.
Can I add one more thing, man?
Sure.
I don't mean to imply that our struggle will be an easy struggle. I expect it to be a long, hard slog. It may very well be a bloody fight. But the thing I believe is it will be a fight to the finish. And in the end, those who stand up will be the oppressed people of the world.
There you go. On that note, brother, power to the people. Brother. Keep the struggle alive, man.
I'm going to do my best.
All right. Take care.
All right, man.
Thanks so much. Peace. Yeah. That was Terry Johnson. Real quickly, I just want to say, pay homage and extend condolences to the family of Reverend Dr. Melvin Floyd, a great worker in the community, trying to bring young people away from gangs and violence. Did so much work for years, although I didn't know him personally, but his legacy is there. And also my very good friend, Milt McGriff, friend, frat brother, mentor. Milt did so many things. Was a writer, journalist, Tai Chi teacher, actor, and love you, Milt. And heaven's a better place because you're there. Take care now.